Police are pressing forward in their search for Emmanuel Haro. Days after the missing 7-month-old's parents, Rebecca Haro and Jake Haro, were arrested on a murder charge in connection with his disappearance. Jake was assisting with the search alongside authorities in a remote field in Moreno Valley, California.
A mother runs into a sheriff's station, blood on her clothes, a black eye swelling shut, screaming that her baby has been taken. Detectives immediately launch a massive search operation. Helicopters circle overhead. 9 units scour the area. The community rallies together. But what nobody realized in those first crucial hours was that they were searching for a child who was already dead, killed by the very woman standing in front of them, begging for help. Welcome back to Crime Chronicle. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button now, because what you're about to witness will change how you view missing child cases forever. This is the story of how 2 parents turned a family tragedy into an elaborate performance, and how their web of lies began unraveling from the very first interview. To understand how deep this deception runs, we need to go back to the beginning. Meet the Haro family. Rebecca Haro, 41 years old, appeared to be a devoted mother. Jake Haro, 32, presented himself as a loving father. And at the center of their world was 7-month-old Emmanuel, a beautiful baby boy who would never see his first birthday. But something much darker was happening behind closed doors. What the community didn't know was that this family had been on law enforcement's radar before. In 2018, Jake Haro committed an act so cruel against a child that it would result in a felony conviction for child cruelty. The conviction came in June 2023, 180 days in jail, 48 months probation. The justice system had identified Jake as a danger to children. Yet somehow, Emmanuel remained in his care. Here's where the story takes its first disturbing turn. Jake was scheduled to appear in court September 2025 for allegedly violating his parole. Financial pressures were mounting. The stress of potential jail time was building. And in the middle of all this chaos lived an innocent 7-month-old baby. Neighbors would later tell investigators they had concerns. Strange sounds from the house, arguments that could be heard through the walls. But like so many tragedies, the warning signs were ignored until it was too late. By August 2025, the pressure had reached a breaking point. Jake faced potential jail time. Rebecca was struggling to maintain their facade of normalcy. And Emmanuel, completely dependent on them for protection, was about to become the victim of their desperation. August 14th, 2025, evening. Yucaipa, California. Rebecca Haro enters the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Station with what appears to be the performance of her life. Her story was crafted to pull at every parent's worst fears. She claimed she was changing Emmanuel's diaper beside her car when a Hispanic man approached, said Hola, and then everything went black. When she regained consciousness, her baby was gone. Within hours, detectives began noticing inconsistencies. The timeline didn't match. Physical evidence didn't support her claims. The injury she displayed didn't align with her account of being attacked. But here's what made this case unprecedented. Both parents continued their performance even after being arrested. Rebecca maintained her kidnapping story. Jake, now in custody, did something that stunned veteran investigators. Little did anyone know, Jake was about to reveal his hand. August 25th, 2025. Both parents are arrested on suspicion of murder. But instead of maintaining his innocence, Jake Haro puts on a red prison jumpsuit and begins leading deputies through empty fields, searching for his own son's remains. This wasn't just cooperation. This was something law enforcement rarely witnesses. A father charged with murdering his own child, actively helping authorities locate the body. What police discovered about their behavior pattern would chill you to the bone. Retired homicide detective Chris McDonough, who has worked thousands of cases, made a statement that sent shockwaves through the investigation. Haro's help in the search could wind up being what proves him to be guilty. But why would Jake help find evidence that could convict him? Criminal psychologists suggest this behavior represents the final stage of control. By guiding the search, Jake maintained power over the narrative, deciding when and how Emmanuel would be found. Remember this behavior. It reveals everything about their psychology. Meanwhile, Rebecca remained behind bars, still insisting a stranger had taken her baby. Even as forensic evidence mounted against both parents, she refused to break character. The performance had to continue, even when the curtain had already fallen. As the search intensified, a disturbing picture emerged of how far these parents were willing to go to cover their crimes. Jake's vehicle was seized by investigators. Forensic teams began processing evidence that would reveal the true timeline of Emmanuel's final hours. What they discovered painted a picture of premeditation and cover-up that defied belief. What happened next would shock even seasoned investigators. The elaborate staging began making sense. Rebecca's black eye, the carefully crafted story, the location of the alleged kidnapping. Everything had been orchestrated to create reasonable doubt about their involvement. But they made one critical error. They underestimated modern forensic science. Digital evidence, cell phone data, vehicle tracking, technology that would ultimately expose every lie they had constructed. As of August 26, 2025, both parents remain in custody, facing murder charges. The Riverside County District Attorney's Office has officially declared Emmanuel Haro presumed dead. Despite widespread rumors of confessions on social media, authorities have revealed a more complex reality. Jake has not formally confessed, but his actions demonstrate knowledge that only Emmanuel's killer would possess. Here's the disturbing truth that emerged from psychological analysis. Experts in family annihilation cases recognize a pattern. The elaborate deception, the performance of grief while covering their tracks, the willingness to sacrifice an innocent child to solve their adult problems. Emmanuel's death wasn't random violence. It wasn't the result of a moment of rage. Evidence suggests this was a calculated decision by two people who viewed their own child as expendable. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of this case is how preventable it might have been. Jake Haro's 2023 conviction for child cruelty should have been a red flag. The system had already identified him as a danger to children. Yet Emmanuel remained in his care, unprotected from the very person who would ultimately take his life. What this case reveals about our child protection system will disturb you. How many other children are living with parents who have been identified as dangerous? How many warning signs are being ignored? Emmanuel's death forces us to confront these uncomfortable questions. The Cold Case Foundation's Chris McDonough has seen this pattern before. Parents who harm their children, then perform grief while covering their tracks. But rarely has the performance been so elaborate, so well-planned. As this investigation continues, one truth remains absolute. Emmanuel Haro deserved protection from the people who were supposed to love him most. The search for his remains continues. Jake's cooperation may be his final attempt to control the narrative, but forensic evidence doesn't lie. The truth about Emmanuel's final hours will emerge. This case reminds us that evil doesn't always announce itself with warning signs. Sometimes it hides behind the mask of parenthood, performing love while planning destruction. Make sure you're subscribed to Crime Chronicle and hit that notification bell. We'll continue following this case as it develops, seeking justice for Emmanuel and answers for a community left heartbroken by ultimate betrayal. Emmanuel's story isn't over. His memory demands justice, and his death must serve as a warning to protect other children from similar fates.